Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bridging the Chat, the podcast connecting people to their environment. On today's episode, we'll sit down with Jacobo, a local birder and BTG staff member, to learn about birds in our area, and later on, we'll take a hike with Sherry, one of our decades-long wildlands volunteers.
Hi, my name is Jacobo Barriga, and I work for Kansas City Wildlands as a program coordinator.
So this podcast is for the birds. Jacobo, you're notoriously a very avid birder, and you're a pretty good birder too, despite what you might think about yourself. Tell me how you got into birding.
Yeah, it kind of started off back in the days when I worked as a computer software developer. At that time, I just needed an excuse to get outside, and I kept seeing the one piece of wildlife that was always flying around or nearby, and that was birds. So I got a little bit more interested in that. From there, I found an ornithology course whenever I made the career change to go work in the conservation field, and ornithology was kind of the birding course that really helped me learn the bird calls that I know today.
That's cool. I do feel like birds are one of the most common wildlife that people first observe or recognize, because birds are everywhere. What is your favorite bird, if you can pick one?
My favorite bird is going to be the white-breasted nuthatch. They just got the silliest call, sounds like a little nasal laugh, and the most judgmental face whenever they look up at you from the tree trunks.
That's a good answer. The white-breasted nuthatch is also the bird that's on the Kansas City Wildlands logo, fun fact. So I'm glad that your favorite is well represented. So this ornithology course, was it overwhelming at first to learn birds, or kind of what helped you the most?
It definitely is an overwhelming course for just about anybody. The goal was to teach students all of the birds that can be found within the state of Missouri. But if you're really interested in birds, which I was, it was a hoot. It was a great thing to take on a list of birds each week and just kind of hammer out the call and what the male and the female look like. And so it was a great introductory to birding.
That's kind of a nice approachable strategy, I feel like just having one small list of birds each week and challenging yourself to learn, one set at a time versus biting off more than you can chew, maybe. What do you think are some things that people who are curious about birds or starting out birding, like what steps would you recommend if you're just getting started?
I would definitely recommend to start with the birds that you can always find. You don't have to start with the biggest list. You don't have to work on just the warblers or just the robins. You can just look at what birds do you see in your backyard. Maybe start off with some apps to help you out with it. Merlin is a great app that has kind of like the Shazam of birds. It'll take recordings that you hear in your backyard, and it'll actively identify those birds based off of what it can hear. The next step, I would say, after doing that for a couple of weeks, days, just keep going out, see what kind of birds you are hearing. And if you can find a common bird that you're going to see every day, start learning what it sounds like. Start learning what the male and the female look like. And just those two things can really help you identify those birds in the wild.
That makes a lot of sense. When would you say is the best time to go birding?
I would say anytime it's pleasant to be outside, it's a good time to go birding. Birds are kind of like us. If it's crazy hot, they're going to be hunkered down. They're not going to be flying around and running around because that expends a lot of energy. So you'll see on super hot days, sometimes you'll see a bird all fanned out on the ground. It looks dead. I mean, it's just trying to cool off, so it puffs out all of its feathers and it opens up its wings, and it just kind of hunkers down and waits. But if you're trying to actually see a lot of birds, that's not the good time to do it, right? You have to come out on a nice day. You don't want too much wind because that'll make it hard for the birds to fly. You don't want it to be too cold or too hot. Just a nice day, I would say anywhere between 60s to 80s is a great time to go out and bird. And
that must mean that birds are more active around dawn, around dusk, kind of the beginning or the end of the day. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb. Is there any time of year particularly that's easier to find lots of birds or lots of interesting species?
Yeah, if you're really trying to get as many species as you can get on a birding list, you're definitely going to want to go out spring or fall. Spring, you'll typically see some warblers passing through, and so those guys are just passing. There's a couple of warblers that might stick around, but most of them are passing through. So you're going to be able to see those guys for maybe a week. They might be in town, and then they're going to make it to their end destination where they're trying to nest and actually find a mate. And so same thing happens in the fall. They're trying to go down south for the winter, and that time is typically a key time to see a lot of waterfowl. So if you live near a big lake, that's the best time to go out and visit, is during the fall. And you might see a lot of different kinds of ducks and mergansers and other strange birds you haven't really heard of. Loons maybe pop by. And it's always a hoot.
That's cool. I like birding in the fall because those waterfowl are so interesting and so different than what we usually see in our resident birds here in the Kansas City region year round. Now, for people who might not live near a natural area or a park, or might have, troubles fitting it into their schedule, but still have some yard space, is there anything people can do in their yards to attract or support our native birds?
Yeah, it really depends on just what you got the space for and what you got the time for. If you don't have the money or the time to constantly buy bird feed and set up a bird feeder, you can go purchase a native plant and just put that in your backyard. And over time, that plant will provide berries that can either draw in the birds, or just having the plant there will draw in the insects that those birds will be eating. And so by having just native plants in your backyard is a great way to attract wildlife. Otherwise, grab a bird feeder, grab some food, and kind of study up on how to maintain those bird feeders so that you can have healthy bird populations visiting your backyard. On top of that, where birds can find water, they'll be there. And so having a source of water that gets replaced maybe daily or weekly. I believe daily is probably the better option. Best to look that up. But as long as it's fresh, you're kind of not allowing bacteria to accumulate and diseases to spread. And so that's kind of the line there. Whenever we start giving food, giving water, we have to also make sure that we are giving a healthy space for those birds.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think those are good beginner tips too, especially about native plants. A lot of people don't think about the kind of ecosystem connections that birds have, but insects, especially soft-bodied insects like caterpillars, feed so many young fledglings and newly hatched birds. Like, they really depend on those food sources, and so if we can have more native habitat, then we'll have more native birds. There are a plethora of bird species that hang out and use the natural areas that our wildlands team helps steward on public land. Do you think that furthering those ecosystem connections, do you think that there are any good tips for increasing bird habitat across the metro? Or you're the expert here, so what would you recommend?
I think it would be great to have some native plantings throughout all neighborhoods, especially nearby these conservation areas or these remnant spaces that we're working in, city parks. Whenever you're connecting habitat, that's the key to really providing a channel for wildlife to pass through, and also to always have access to food. And so if you can start planting on your own, and then maybe you draw attention from your neighbors, and then maybe you have an HOA that you can kind of pitch this idea to, and then just keep growing that native source, whether it's through your own funds or just reaching out as a group to maybe entities like MDC or nonprofits to kind of see what resources are out there to kind of help you out with, in terms of ideas for design, sources for seed, or even maybe there's money out there if you have a large enough group or large enough acreage that you're trying to transform. Yeah,
that's excellent. If you're like me and you live in an apartment and don't necessarily have a yard, there are still ways to make a difference for birds, make a positive impact through volunteering with Wildlands or volunteering with other organizations that are increasing native habitat, either in people's yards or in public lands like we do. I know that a lot of people think that the shiny red berries of the invasive honeysuckle plants feed a lot of birds, and that's because birds are attracted to red berries, but invasive species like honeysuckle and other plants like it don't provide a lot of nutrition to birds, and it's mostly just kind of a bunch of simple lipids that don't have a lot of energy, and so that really messes up migrating birds, especially because they end up not having enough stored fat and stored energy to complete their migrations. So there's all kinds of ways to make benefits for birds, no matter if you're a new volunteer or a new birder or a lifelong volunteer like Sherry Leonardo. Jacobo, tell us about Sherry and what she does.
Well, Sherry has been a long-time volunteer with us who has constantly been giving us quarterly surveys of the birds that can be found specifically at one of our sites called Jerry Smith Prairie. At this area, she's been giving us intel on whether there's going to be, if she's seen kestrels out there, if she's seen passing by warblers, and even those little sparrows that are incredibly hard to identify. Her and the folks that go out with her are very knowledgeable on identifying these birds. It's just invaluable data to have this span across multiple years. It's over 20 years.
She's been doing our bird censuses for 16, so almost
16?
20.
Oh, okay.
And she also gives us, side data about butterflies and dragonflies too. So Sherry does it all, but she wasn't always a birder.
Yeah, no, after talking with Sherry, I tried to get a little interview with her, but of course my tech skills failed me on that day. So I'll try to recap the best I can from what I got from her. But she started off as a FedEx worker, and as her time with FedEx, she really enjoyed going to zoos, and she found herself going to the aviary section of that zoo, the area where all the birds are more and more often. Over time, she thought, you know what? I'm going to try to identify these birds that I can find here locally. And so she took a class at MDC to kind of start learning how to identify the birds that can be found here in Missouri. After a couple of years of that, she kept getting told, you know what? There's this Burroughs Audubon Society. You should go check it out. She did say that she felt a little intimidated because Burrough is well known for having a society of well-known birders. And so it's kind of scary starting off whenever you don't know that many birds. But she said that once she joined, she found some really friendly people, and the more she participated in these birding activities, the more folks she found that were willing to share their tips and tricks, share their locations, and just kind of create a friendship, a friend group, or a community around birds. And so it grew to the level where she was actually taking trips. She went out to Texas, she went to Florida, and even went as far as Panama to see birds, and hiring a guide, not to find specific species, but just to go out and be shown the birds in Panama, because you know it's hard to know what birds you're going to see out there. It's a totally different ecosystem. So that this hobby can be a lot. I mean, it can be just getting outside to your backyard every day and connecting more with nature by learning what's in your backyard, or it can be the thing that drives you to explore the world and learn about more ecosystems around you. And the way they're all connected. Sometimes you see that bird in Panama that you saw in your backyard. You're like, whoa, how did he travel that far? The world can be connected in really large ways. And so birds is just one of those ways.
Yeah, the power of observation is super underrated, but is one of the best ways to get involved. Data that Sherry's provided us has even been published in scientific journals before, so you never know.
Oh, wow, that is super exciting to hear. But on top of this, it's not just about what do you get to see that's brand new to you, but maybe it's about what's brand new to a site that you're really passionate about. And so it could be your backyard, or in Sherry's case, it's this Jerry Smith Prairie. Sometimes she has new recordings of seeing a bird that she usually sees, but it's new for that season or new to that area. Maybe she's seen the bird somewhere else in Kansas City, but now she's seeing it at Jerry Smith. And so it's cool to see that the site's bringing in birds, but it's also cool to see having new people show up to these birding experiences. And that's something that she mentioned, was that I asked her, why does she keep doing these birding experiences, and why does she lead them with groups? And she said that she really enjoys getting to offer these new experiences to other people as well. It might be a bird that she sees every time she comes out, but it might be somebody else's first time getting to see and experience that bird. And to see that person's face, or to be there and be a part of that person's experience, is a cherished moment. And so that this hobby, like I said before, it does make you travel around. It can be that personal growth experience, but it can also be a community building experience where you just start to welcome people and offer these welcoming experiences.
These surveys that Sherry leads at Jerry Smith Prairie provide us invaluable data that's consistent, routine, and easy to read. Sherry does an excellent job, and we're very thankful for her years of volunteerism, helping us reveal bird trends, new species, and track overall progress for Jerry Smith Prairie as a functioning ecosystem for birds. Now that you know a little bit about Sherry, I bet you want to take a walk with her. Listen along as we explore Jerry Smith Prairie on one of Sherry's bird walks one morning at about 7:30 a.m. You'll hear lots of discussion and names of birds passing through, as well as some native plants that help support those birds. If you're a new birder or just curious, Sherry leads these birding walks pretty regularly. If you'd like to find out more and join her one day, please send a message to nature@bridgingthegap.org and we'll get you connected.
This is the third time I know of a booby in Missouri.
Yeah.
So,
the word was there's been 7.
okay.
So, but they've all been around St. Louis.
No, they have not. They have not. The one that was about 4 or 5 years ago was on a river down in the Ozarks, and the one that Karen and I went and saw was at Truman Lake, which is in Central, so that's not, yeah. So, all right, well, back to bird census here at Jerry Smith Park.
We should not find a brown booby.
No, it's in dire problems if it happens here. I got to get the eBird list. I will do an eBird list, and at the end we'll go over it. If you want me to share it with you, we'll get it done there. Okay, we need to be sure and look up because there are kites around. Although they seem to really like Meadowmere, the east side of Meadowmere this year, and of course Minor Park there by Alex George Lake. Tend to hear field sparrows and dick cicels in here. Okay, there's an indigo bunting singing over here. Had a bird in the air over here. Well, we had a bird in the air over here. Probably a good chance house finches.
I've heard house finches when I first got here too.
Right.
Not house finches, goldfinches.
Okay. Yeah, we got goldfinch on the list. This gray over here is some of the bergamot that's in bloom. There's kind of a nice patch over here. It was the day I lucked out, with the day I happened to have scheduled the census. There had been a fallout of sparrows.
So exciting.
Our first cardinal of the day, but we want to be sure and check when we come back up because Monday I had a kestrel, and normally if I get a kestrel it's when I come back up before I do the last little segment on the trail. There's a field sparrow singing over here. Indian hemp here, which is a native. Yep, and then that's Queen Anne's lace, which is not a native, but there are butterflies, especially juniper hair streaks, that really like it. Here's some black-eyed Susans, and then there's some butterfly milkweed, the orange flowers back there. Well, the nice thing is when we get down in the valley, the wind won't be such a factor. So we'll have to hope for the best there. All right. Nice thing about some of the birds, though, they hunker down anyway. The field sparrows, the dick cicels. Orange sulfur butterfly. I think I've already seen more turkey vultures this morning than I've been seeing all month. Okay, starlings, is that little flock that was coming in? Okay. Yeah, another goldfinch. Well, the western kingbird's a treat because we don't get those very often. And we had a ton of them here in the spring, but I don't know if they were just passing through or if they're nesting somewhere and we're just not seeing them now. That is a kestrel.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was looking at the bill and it had the curved little bill. So, yeah, American kestrel. Now it does like to pump its tail. We don't know if that's pumping or if he's just trying to keep his balance today.
I figured that one out.
Yeah, he's typically, if he's just pumping it, the tail feathers will be inside. But with the tail feathers spread a little bit, I think he's doing it for balance today. Yay, another treat, because we don't get those all the time either. Excellent. Oh, with that, let's carry on.
Yeah.
It's an everyday life for birds.
Yeah.
You know, so I've done, I do weekly butterfly count out here, and one of my best days was a day that was like windy like today. Yeah, this is our mourning dove that was up on the wire. Baby going back to the wire. No, we heard game, so we saw a grasshopper.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to go to the left. Yeah, we heard, Jennifer and I heard Henslow on 180th Street. We got the grasshopper from that low platform place on M Highway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer heard it, and then Karen had brought her scope. We got the scope on it. We had good looks at that. Yeah. The white is indigo. It's an indigo plant.
Well, white indigo.
Yeah.
You know, that might be the blue.
Yeah. Because the blue blooms earlier.
Those are the pods. No, those are the seed pods.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the seed pods are as pretty as the grass.
Yeah.
Really neat.
But yeah, white indigo this time. Blue indigo's done blooming for the year.
One has pods like that. Yeah.
Okay, field sparrow just sang over here. Sounds like a ping pong ball that was dropped on the table. Sedge wrens in this area will come through in the spring, go farther north to the nest, and then they'll come back through here. We usually start listening for them the end of July, early August, and along this trail here is one of the best places for them. It's just a leaf. It's a wing of a orange sulfur butterfly. This is called the Overlook. Oh, they've seen something back there. Anyway, we have some germander over here. I believe that's what that is. And then we have some more spider wart over there. We always like to scan the tree line over here. On a windy day, it may not be very productive. There's still a field sparrow singing off to the left, and dick sissel. Anybody getting anything besides field sparrow or dick sissel here?
Indigo bunting, I think.
Indigo bunting? All right.
Bluebird sitting in this left-hand dead tree here, but in the right-hand upper side of it. There's also a western kingbird above it.
Okay. Which tree are you
You got two
Right off this bench here.
Okay.
Blue,
Right-hand side, go up.
next to each other. So it's approximately 2 o'clock in the tree.
Oh, I got them now.
There's the kingbird flying down and over
Oh, yeah, that's
across to the left.
Yep. Okay, nice spot. All right. There you go. That's got to be a different kingbird than the one we saw before.
Possibly, yeah.
If you haven't been here for a while, this field over here that used to have the Calgary pears and a whole lot of stuff that you don't want got mowed down to the ground. I believe it was in February. February? Yeah. Are there any plans to do anything with the trees that are coming back up?
Yeah, cut them down and treat them. Depending on the species, we might do a basal bark treatment or do a glyphosate treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another dead tree that we like to pay attention to. I've had shrike on there. I've had merlin on that. Yeah. Young kestrel. It's got a really streaky breast.
Female for sure.
Right.
Nice spot, Mark.
Oh, I saw it come up and land.
Do you think it's the one that was on the wire?
Could be. The one on the wire is not there.
Right. So I'm kind of thinking since it's so close, it's probably.
You know if that was a male or
Oh, No, I couldn't either. Great spot though. Well, it's actually a little guy. It's actually one of our smaller. It's one of our smaller raptors.
Oh, okay.
Female widow skimmer dragonfly. Just landed here. If it were male, where it's brown, it would be blue.
Oh.
Yep.
On the tips?
No, on that part towards the abdomen,
Oh.
the part that's the dark brown. If it were a male, that would be blue. Yeah.
Is it widow skipper?
Widow skimmer.
Skimmer.
Yes. It's a medium-sized dragonfly.
They're neat looking.
Yeah, extremely common. Yeah, in the dragonfly family, the females are pretty drab, and the males can be pretty colorful.
Cool.
All right. Did we have anything else besides the indigo bunting that was up in the tree? But when the olive-sided flycatchers are coming through, the top of that tree is where you find, yeah,
Fall and spring or just
fall and spring.
okay?
More likely, well, I can't say that. Last year I didn't get it in the spring, but I did get it in the fall. But olive-sided, they like to be at the very top, but they like that dead tree. So, I don't know if everybody heard, but this dead tree here, in the spring and the fall, it's a good idea to take a look at it. It's good. It's a good tree to look at anyway. But when the olive-sided flycatchers come through, they like to perch at the very tip of that tree.
What bird does?
Olive-sided flycatcher.
Okay.
It's one that just goes through; it doesn't stay. Kind of listening here. This is the area that the peewee's been hanging out this year. Chickadees, titmice, the downies, the red bellies, they all like to hang around in here. And when the warblers are coming through, this is the best area to look, is right in here. So they're looking for the gnatcatcher.
How do you deal with neck strain from craning your neck so much?
This isn't bad. Spring, when the warblers are coming through, that's when warbler neck comes in. This is more intermittent.
Yeah.
As opposed to in the spring, where you're always looking up because so many of them like the top of the canopy.
How many types of birds do you typically see at Jerry Smith?
Oh, that's
Does it
real.
depend on the season?
It depends on the season. It depends on the weather.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, and it's really hard to say.
What would like a typical spring day look like without this kind of wind?
This time of year, I was out here on Monday, and I had 27 species.
Oh wow,
So
that's a lot. That's more than I would have guessed.
yeah, the toughest season out here is winter
Okay.
because we don't have many wintering migrants. It's mostly just year-round birds.
Gotcha.
I just finished the seasonal total for spring. I go by meteorological calendar. So for me, spring was March, April, May. I think it makes so much more better sense with birds.
Absolutely.
And I think I had 67 species out here.
Wow.
But that was for the season. That was for the 3-month period.
So even more wow.
Yes, but keep in mind in the spring you have migration going on.
Oh yeah.
So you should see more birds in the spring. And it's probably the most birds you should see because some birds that migrate through here in the spring don't come back in the fall.
Oh.
Yeah, some birds have different migratory paths.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of birds will fly over the Gulf of Mexico coming up
Yeah.
because they're driven by finding territory to mate.
Okay.
But that's all over. In the fall, some of those, instead of flying over the Gulf, will stay along land and go along the eastern edge of Mexico. Okay, we're getting to an area where we have to start being concerned about exposed tree roots. So watch your step. I have to really watch my step. If I fall, it's going to be a bloodbath.
So he's never done a good trail, and now it's probably worse.
Oh, wait to see how bad in other spots. Oh, I just heard the chat. Well, we're not seeing it, we're hearing a yellow-breasted chat.
You can still hear him calling.
Yeah. He just makes you want to laugh.
Yellow-breasted chat.
All right, well, I'm glad some people at least got to see him. We've still got another possibility.
And an indigo bunting flew over that way
Yeah,
while
so he
we
was
were
Okay.
right here and he flew up there and then he went over there.
Okay. Yeah, the males have been really striking this year.
Barn swallow.
Yep, barn swallow. Those have been few and far between this spring or this year. Okay, Karen thinks she saw the summer tanager back this way. Okay, well, we may catch up with it later then. Oh, one time I got to, some years we have cliff swallows that nest under one of the bridges, and I got to watch them pick up the mud and carry it back. I swear turkey vultures love windy days. Get over here. Some more butterfly milkweed. Black saddlebags going by, dragonfly.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
When you guys were in the woods, out there in that field I was in, there were dozens.
Yes. Yeah, dragonflies love that field. I had a Halloween pennant the other day, sulfur tip clubtail, plains clubtail, Prince basket tail, and then of course widow skimmer, common pond hawk, and common whitetail when I was out here on Monday.
Hey, widow skimmer?
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yes, I saw several.
Yeah, they're the most common butterfly or dragonfly I'll get out here. Yeah, there's a lot of the purple prairie clover. Yeah, nice clump there.
So pretty.
Yeah, every time I come out here, it looks different. A lot of compass plants coming up. Oh, we got land where we can see you. Land. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we have a female indigo on the dead tree on the right side, the lowest horizontal branch on the right. Females are really drab compared to the bright blue males. No, what's funny is that everybody's pointing their binoculars in a different direction. That's the best photo. It's another great spangled fritillary butterfly. So we got a titmouse and a cardinal going. Here it's either going to be Phoebe or Pee-wee because that's how I get out here during the summer.
Wasn't flicking its tail like Phoebe.
Yeah.
Might have been Pee-wee.
Yeah, and I do hear Pee-wees down in here too. Everybody had a chance to see what we didn't get to see this spring. Normally we get to see it on this census. So
There's so many places. Where would you go if you wanted to see birds for?
Where else besides here can we find birds? Or what's the best places? I figured you guys would.
Unity Village.
What?
Unity Village. They have a nature
trails.
They have a nature trail. They have,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That would be.
Kill Creek Park. Do they have a nature trail?
Yeah. Are you talking Missouri or Kansas side?
Kansas.
Oh, Kansas. Kill Creek Park, Prairie Center. Wilderness Wetlands. Off 167th in Knoll. We kind of got away from birds back in this last area because there's a population of butterflies here that is way north of where they should be. They're called northern meadowlarks. There are also swamp meadowlarks over at Runge in Jeff City. But anyway, they have 2 broods, one in June, one in August. The June brood should be out Unfortunately, I think that the heavy rains in May and then kind of did in the caterpillars, so that they never got to be butterflies. And we just get strays on the trail. The actual population you would have to bushwhack to, which my bushwhacking days are over. Another gnatcatcher, cool.
You got to see a great flycatcher back there.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, and an eastern bluebird,
Okay,
2 cardinals, male and female.
yeah, we got those. Great crested, and what was the other one?
I saw
Eastern bluebird.
Eastern bluebird.
It was behind the great
Okay.
crested.
you tell me something to yet?
I've been hearing it. It's doing the tootie tootie tootie. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bridging the Chat, a podcast connecting people to their environment. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know that at the end of each episode, we like to treat you with a fun environmental fact. Since this episode was all about birds, I thought that I would share some perspective about hummingbirds. Did you know that these little birds, often the smallest birds, or maybe even the smallest wildlife that any of us ever see on a day-to-day basis, fly and migrate all the way over the Gulf of Mexico without stopping? That, I don't know about you, but to me that seems like a long way for a little bird. Nature's pretty cool.